is your dwelling place, O Lord Almighty. For my heart yearns and even faints for you. This one thing has my heart desire, to live in your presence, and I rest beneath the shadow of your wings. Better is a one day in your court, better is a one day in your house, better is a one day in your court than 1,000 elsewhere. Better is a one day in your court, better is a one day in your house, better is a one day in your court than 1,000 elsewhere, than 1,000 elsewhere, than 1,000 elsewhere. How lovely is your dwelling place, O Lord Almighty. For my heart yearns and even faints for you. This one thing has my heart desired, to live in your presence, and I rest beneath the shadows of your wings. Ooh, better is a one day in your court, better is a one day in your house, better is a one day in your court than 1,000 elsewhere. Better is a one day in your court, better is a one day in your house, better is a one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. Better is a one day in your courts, better is a one day in your house, better is a one day in your courts than 1,000 elsewhere. Better than 1,000 elsewhere. Yes, than 1,000 elsewhere. Praise your name, God, than 1,000, than 1,000 elsewhere. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wealth Channel. And, God bless you wherever you may be around the world. Good morning to you. Queen Mary from Kenya. God bless you. Tell the kids we said hello and keep up all the good work. Good morning, Sandy. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Good morning to you, Berlin, Joyce, Cecilia. God bless you. I look forward to your program that you got coming up, that you asked me to come to. I'll be glad to come. It'd be my pleasure. And I look forward to doing whatever it is you want me to do. All right, Eddie, good morning to you, my friend. Happy 87. Good morning to you. And good morning, you wonderful, incredible, phenomenal brothers and sisters, incredible kings and queens. Good morning to you, Aaron. Good morning to you, William. Good morning to you, Maribel. All right, let's get to work today. I want to talk to you today about this idea, and that's the idea of how do you accomplish your 2024 goals. We're almost through January, and we still have, if the Lord blesses all the year, we have the lion's share of the year left, and there's some things that we can do that absolutely move the needle. So I want to talk to you today about the practical things that you can do to get the things that you said you were going to do at the beginning of the year actually off the ground. So today is the 28th, and I pray that you are already doing good, and that you've already had some significant improvement in in your life. But let's talk about goal setting, and let's talk about how to actually achieve the goals. First of all, the idea of goal setting is that in order to achieve a goal, you have to do tasks. So the problem with people is that they set a goal, but they don't set the task to get the goal achieved. So they stare at the goal, and the goal seems unachievable or a long way down the road or something that's insurmountable, even though they made the goal. So I'm like, why would you make a goal and then just stare at it? Why don't you put the goal into motion? And the way that you put a goal into motion is that you create the task that actually get the goal done. So that's why I journal on a daily basis. And that's why I write down what I said I was going to do. And then I write down what I actually did. That's why on Sundays like today, I write down 4 categories. I said, I'm going to do this spiritually this week, this financially this week, this personally this week. And then these are the distractions that don't move the needle that I'm going to stay away from. So, because every time you set a goal, unfortunately, the goal is always interrupted or disrupted by distractions all the time. There are no goals that are worth achieving that don't have opposition. It is impossible to have a goal, a viable goal, something that's worth going after. You cannot achieve a goal in the absence of distractions. It's impossible. Why? Because it's not biblical. It's not a principle. It's a principle. And the principle is that the race is not given to the fast, to the swift, but to him that endureth to the end. So what you need to remember in order for you to be really successful this year and for you to really move the needle and for you to really get things done, what's important for you to remember is that it's not the goal that you're after. It's your purpose that you're after. It's just the goal is what you need to set to get your purpose taken care of. All right. So it's not the goal that you want to achieve so much. It's the purpose of the goal that you want to achieve. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So this is the protocol. So the way the goals go. All right. So the mother of goals is purpose. Purpose, then it produces task. And then task, they get the goals done. All right. Let me get that to you one more time. And if you're taking notes, I would take this. This will really help you this year. You'll be able to really get more things done, than you've been able to get done in the past because you have to get the right protocol. And the protocol is that you start out with purpose. He says, so this is, like my purpose is to get help get over the fear of other people and then make it to heaven. Like that's my purpose, so that's what drives me. So because of that, I do a lot of things to get that purpose fulfilled on a regular basis. That's one reason why I talk so much to the public, because I know that people are afraid of other people. I know that. And I know that that's a major distraction, a major deterrent from people reaching their goals or even setting goals. I know because they're so concerned about what people think about them. I know that's a problem. All right. All of us know that's a problem. Okay. So if you have that gift, and if that's your purpose, because you're the kind of person that can go to bat for somebody else and make sure that they get their fair due, then you can't sleep and eat until you see other people prospering and making it, if that's your purpose. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Something is your purpose because you can't sleep, you can't eat without doing it. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Because God puts that drive, that irritation inside of you. Like, I'm gonna do something about this. See, but I got my purpose because my grandmother was that way and my mother was that way. So they just passed this purpose down to me. They were advocates. They were always doing something for somebody else because they couldn't stand to see somebody trying to bully the next person. So they was the kind of person who was going to stick their neck out for the next person. So that's where I got the purpose from. My grandmother used to take men on the side of the road and wash their clothes and feed them, perfect strangers, and then send them on down the railroad so they can find a job. Perfect strangers that she didn't even know. All right. Taking my grandfather Luther's clothes and putting them on them while she was washing their clothes with her hands for no money, people she didn't even know. So I can't help but have the kind of purpose where, I got to stand up for somebody else because I got it from my grandmother. And then my mother was the same way. So we had all these kids in our crib that weren't even my kids. She raising all these kids. And I got 4 or 5, friends. Everybody think they're my brothers and sisters, but they're not. They just live in our house. Why? Because she got it from my mother. So we got this purpose. We got this. Your life has to be where you set your goals based on your goals helping you to achieve your purpose. So the goals are a means towards achieving your purpose. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So that way you won't stop when you're distracted because distractions come with everybody's purpose. Nobody has a purpose that's not being distracted. And the bigger the purpose, the more like appeal it has to actually help people and actually be a blessing to folk, then the bigger the distractions. So if you have very few distractions in your life, small distractions, is because your purpose is just not large. But if you got big distractions in your life, it's because you have a large purpose. So don't think that because you're being distracted on every hand, that it's something wrong with your purpose and like you need to back up. No, you need to increase it. Why? Because that's good that you got all those distractions because that comes with the territory. The more impact you have on people, the more of a blessing you are on people, the bigger the distractions are around you because it's par for the course. I hear what I'm saying? So Here's the protocol one more time, and then I'm gonna give you a few examples of what I'm talking about. So the protocol is make sure you have a purpose. Make sure that that's why you do the things that you do. And then make sure that you have some tasks to complete in order to be able to reach the goals that you set. Don't do it backwards, else you won't reach the goals. Are you hearing me? If you just set some goals, but you don't put tasks in front of the goals, if you put the goals in front of the task, you won't get the goal done. So it's purpose, task, and then goals. All right, let me give it to you one more time. Purpose, task, and then goals. Because you cannot get goals achieved without tasks. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But you will do the task consistently. What? If your purpose is good enough, because you won't stop the task. Because what makes you successful in life is the repetition of tasks. That's what makes you successful. That's how you reach goals and eventually start reaching them a lot faster because of the repetition. All right. The repetition is what creates your reputation for being somebody that can actually get something done. Your repetition. It creates your reputation for the ability to actually be able to get something done. That's why people start doing business with you. That's why people start confiding in you. Why? Because you show up so much. You're like, wow, you are amazingly consistent. You must really be concerned about your goals. I mean, it must really mean something. Your purpose must mean something to you because you've been lied on, cheated, talked about, mistreated, rebuked, scorned, talked about just as sure as you're born. You've been up, down, almost level to the ground, but you still ain't stopped. Ain't nothing stop you from doing what you consistent. You go at it just like ain't nothing happened. Well, that must mean it must be a serious cause. It must be a serious purpose of why you're doing that, because you are so laser beam focused. It don't seem like nothing gonna stop you other than death. And that's what Paul said. He said, what should separate us from the love of God? He said, not even death. He started naming all these different things, famine, this, that, and other. He said, is that going to separate us from, the reason we get up out the bed? No, because we expect it. See, the only thing that really knocks you off your horse is the fact that you just don't expect distraction. Bible student. In fact, it means that you're not really realistic about life because you done had so many of them over the years until ain't nobody got to preach that to you. We preach it to the choir. So listen to what Solomon said about this whole idea about things happening to a person and who really gets their goals achieved. Watch what Solomon says. It's in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, and it's chapter 9 rather, and it starts at verse number 12. So get your Bibles out and turn to Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse number 12, and watch what Solomon says. He says, verse number 11. He said, I returned. He said, and I saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. So Solomon's saying, why are some people successful and some people are not? He said, why do some people get things accomplished and other people don't? He said, why? He said, this is what I discovered under the sun, that is not, the race is not given to the fast, but to the swift, or the battle to the strong. He said, because time and chance had happened to everybody. So when people look at a person that's accomplishing their goals, they have a tendency to think, you know what, man, they really lucky, or wow, they got a silver spoon, or man, they just popped up overnight and all of a sudden they're a one-night sensation. Well, that's not true. That's not reality about people, because time and chance, it happens to everybody. It's just that one person, they realize that, you know what, I'm gonna have to go through some hell to be able to do it, to get anything accomplished. One person knows that. So they're not so blindsided as the next person is. Now, things going to happen to all of us that we did not expect, and could not have anticipated. But because we got the attitude that, well, no matter what happened, I'm still going to keep going anyway. Because we have that attitude, it doesn't matter what happens. Because we know that time and chance happens to everybody. Ain't nobody successful because they're lucky. Ain't nobody successful because, they just fell out the sky. Ain't nobody successful because something was just given into their lap. That's not how people become successful. People become successful because they have goals and they have tasks that they do to accomplish the goals. And they are not deterred, even though they have to face a whole lot of opposition and sometimes some outright hell. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So isn't this a beautiful thing that Solomon is talking about? This is the richest man in the world, managing trillions of dollars. All right. So he's a very successful person. And he said, listen to me, let me just give you some advice. Okay. Let me just give you some things that I've observed under the sun. He said, now I'm a very successful man. All right. I deal with kings. I deal with queens. I deal with heads of state. I deal with people who run the world. Solomon, okay? I'm at the center of the world's attention, all right? I'm the number one financier on the planet during his lifetime, okay? I'm the one that everybody comes to for advice clear across the world so they can go back and try to figure out how to run the infrastructure of their countries. See, I am a counselor to the counselors. I am a coach of the coaches. I am a trainer of the trainers. They come to me from around the world for wisdom so they can go back home and make sure they make it rain like a hurricane. And you know what? So when they leave me, now they have some clear direction on how to get down. He says, so I've seen serious ballers and serious shot callers. I've seen people with massive success. He said, but you know what I've noticed about him? He said, I've noticed that time and chance happen to all of them. It happens to all of us. He's like, nobody gets away from what? Bad stuff happening. Nobody gets away from what? Unexpected injuries. Nobody gets away. Nobody. Every man and woman. But you just see one person still shining and still making it, and you see the other person balled up in a corner someplace, as though as soon as the opposition came, I'm just going to quit. But if you got a goal, more importantly, if you got a purpose, all right, and then if you get task oriented, then what'll happen is that you'll be so busy in motion doing things until when you get hit, the only thing listen to me good, this is going to really help you. When you get hit, the only thing that you'll know how to do is what you already got in motion. See, that's why it's important to have a goal. That's why it's important to do tasks, because there's a principle, and the principle is called momentum. And when you have the principle of momentum happening, when, not if, distractions come along, they don't have the same effect on you that they have on a person who is in a state of inertia. Now, inertia means that's a scientific state, which means what's sitting still, it cannot move until an object with some energy comes along and moves it. That's a law of inertia, all right? But the law of momentum is that once something is in motion, it stays in motion. And it stays in motion effortlessly once it gets in motion. That's why a person can be extremely successful. And that's how you can get your goals done for 2024 if you start building up some momentum. But you can't build momentum until you what? Until you get task oriented. All right. So that's why on Sundays I write down my task for the whole week, what it is that I'm going to be doing spiritually, personally, financially, and the distractions that I'm going to endeavor to stay away from. All right. That's what I write on my paper at the beginning. Today, that's what I'm going to do for the whole rest of the week. And then every day I write down in my paper on my left side what I said I was going to do in my notebook, and on the right side, what I did by the hour. So that way the whole day is set up task oriented. At 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm going to teach my affiliates from around the world. We're going to be talking about the book King versus the State of Alabama. That's the book that we're all studying. We're going to be about the Montgomery bus boycott. All right. At 10:30, I'll go live and teach you all a lesson. All right. At noon, I'll stop by the bank and make some exchanges. Okay. 2 or 3 o'clock and then have some lunch. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll go to the gym and work out and make sure that everything's okay. All right. And then during the rest of the evening, I'll just be having conversations with some of my people that have some personal meetings with me, on the phone. So that day is up, but it's about an hour what I'm going to be doing. So that way other people's emergencies, they don't become my urgency. Are you hearing what I'm saying? If you don't start writing down what you do, you're not going to get your goals achieved. Why? Because everything distraction. And people are a major distraction. They don't mean no harm, but because they don't have a set up protocol, systematic way of living their life, they intrude and invade your life. Hey, how you doing today? Like, I'm doing great. And they want to talk for an hour. You're like, well, I'm sorry, I got to go. I'm on my way. I got to go to the gym right now. Okay. Oh, going to the gym? I'm like, yeah. Okay. Okay. I got to go. All right. God bless you. All right. Why? Because that's on the schedule for right now. It's not on the schedule for me to be talking to you for 15, 20 minutes right now. It's on the schedule for me to go into this gym so I can get rid of one of these stomachs. All right. Because one stomach is enough. And I don't need 2 and 3 stomachs. Why? Because that's going to hinder me from achieving my goals because I'm not healthy. Are you hearing what I'm saying? That's why I put down goals, tasks to do in 3 different areas. What I'm going to do personally, what I'm going to do financially, what I'm going to do spiritually. And these are the things that keep you on track. Because if you want to make 2024 a very successful year, you got to have a game plan. Okay? And it's got to be written. All right. That's why the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. If you don't write your vision down, then you're guessing at what to do. Why would you guess at what to do when you can just write it down? And then you can be 100% accurate about what it is that you're getting ready, at least what your intentions are. Now, can God come in and circumvent your task and your goals? He will. But it's okay, because the best self-esteem in the world, listen to me good, just try it for a week and see what happens. The best self-esteem in the world is writing down what you said you was going to do and then actually doing the task. There's nothing else that can give you self-esteem better than that. Task-oriented people have very high self-esteem. Why? Because they keep the word to themselves. When you keep your word to yourself, you have very good self-esteem. It's hard for you to be a depressed person. It's very hard. It's hard for people to come in and throw you off your square because they depressed, or because they got a bad attitude, or because they ain't got no game plan. It's hard for them to come in and throw you off your square because why? You're too busy in motion. That momentum is great. That momentum is amazing. I mean, it really gets rid of the anxiety and the excuse me, and the double guessing of yourself because you're so busy in motion. You don't have to be doing everything perfect. You don't even have to be achieving the goals on a regular. Achieving a goal on a, well, let me put it this way. You will achieve your goals a whole lot more consistently. You don't have to achieve every single goal exactly like you wrote down on your paper. That's not what's important. What's important is that you did the task. Are you hearing what I'm saying? If you become task oriented, excuse me, you get so much more done. So Solomon said, he said, this is the evil that I've seen up under the sun. He said that, man, the race is not given to the swift. So what he's saying is that just because you can run fast, or the battle to the strong, or just because you are tremendously talented, that doesn't have anything to do by itself with your level of success. Your level of success is based on your ability to stay in the game. All right. He said, because time and chance, it happened to all of them. He said, so you got this person over here. they can sing, they can dance, they can act, they can write poetry, they can build monuments, they can preach like Paul. Are you hearing what I'm saying? And almost doing it, can almost walk on water. Got, a plethora of amazing talent and phenomenal potential. However, they don't get much of anything accomplished. Why? Because they don't do anything repetitively. They don't have tasks. They're not disciplined. So even though they're good, even though they could be good at stuff, sometimes people live and die and become chronic underachievers, never getting goals because they don't even have a goal, never even wrote it out. And when you don't have it written out and a task to go along with it, distractions do what? They dominate you. Are you hear what I'm saying? He's saying distractions are coming. He said it happens to everybody. Time and chance. What is he saying when he say time and chance? He's talking about distractions. They happen to everybody. That's what Solomon's saying. Just understand what he's talking about. He's saying, so you distracted, brother. I know you are. He said, because everybody is. Hold on, y'all. I gotta get some tissue. Hold on. Appreciate your patience. So Solomon said this happens to all of us, but you can still be amazingly successful despite your distractions if you do what? If you get in motion, because that's what fights them. You don't have a chance against distractions when you're in a state of inertia. Inertia, you know what inertia is? I say inertia is like a ghetto girl's name. I can just see it. How you doing, girl? What's your name? Inertia. Huh? I say, what's your name again, girl? Inertia. I'm like, girl, where did you get those lips from? What are you talking about? You want to get with this? No, I don't want to get with inertia. Why? We want to kiss them soup coolers. Why? It means that you stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck. You can't move forward. But listen, that's an easy state to come out of by just writing down your vision. Now you hear what I'm saying? And then having some tasks that you put in place to do every day, and you can come out of inertia. How do you feel today? Do you feel like that? Are you struggling right now? Do you feel like, you know what, Ricky, I wrote down, I said I was going to do this, and I said I was going to do that at the beginning of the year. And here we are at the 28th of January. And quite frankly, Brother Rick, I haven't hardly done anything I said I was going to do. Okay, did you say you was going to do it? Or did you write down what you said you was going to do? Because if you just say what you're going to do, that means that you got your lips locked up with inertia. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you give an inertia. Your lips are stuck to inertia, just like little Jerry when we was growing up in the projects. That little dude named Jerry. They said Jerry, he want to impress people so much. They said, man, we dare you kiss this hot iron, Jerry. Jerry, crazy, but kiss the hot iron. Like, you hear what I'm saying? Next thing you know, lips stuck to the hot iron, just like the hot iron lips of inertia. Inertia is a terrible state to live in. I'm telling you, some people don't never move. They live and die in a state of inertia. I'm like, where you live at? Oh, inertia. I'm like, you live there? I'm like, yep. I'm like, how long you been there? Pretty much all my life. I'm like, well, why is that? I just can't seem to get moving, Brother Rick. I'm like, well, do you have goals written down? Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, I just keep saying them in my head. But you see, your head is like scrambled eggs. If you don't put the goals down on paper, that stuff is scrambled inside of your head. Are you hear what I'm saying? It's like scrambled eggs. So it's extremely confusing because you get distracted easy because you ain't got nothing on paper. A piece of paper can calm your life down and increase your productivity beyond measure. Just a piece of paper. I'm just talking about a plain piece of paper where you write down and say what you're going to do for the whole week on one sheet of paper, and then get a notebook and start journaling and watch what happens. So some people say, Ricky, I'm too busy to do that. I tried that for like 2 or 3 days, and I just got so much to do. I'm like, yeah, but you busy but not productive. That's different. I know you're not productive. Anybody who says they don't have time to write down their intentions is not a productive person. I refuse to believe that. Why? Because that's what gets you out of inertia. The fact that you got something in front of you. And that's what the Bible says. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. Why? Because Solomon just got through saying, man, he said, time and chance happen to everybody. The only person that can fight it off is the person that's already got a game plan to fight it off because it's coming. That distractions is coming. Let's see what else he had to say. All right, what's Solomon say? He said, excuse me. He said, for man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in the evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it falleth suddenly upon them. All right. So what is Solomon teaching here? He's like, look, because we don't know what's going to happen, then we need to have a written out game plan ahead of time so that we can become proactive people. This is what Solomon is teaching us. He's like, because time and chance happen to everybody, and when it comes suddenly in a kind of way that we couldn't have possibly even anticipated. But it's okay. Why? Because we're ahead of the game. This is what Solomon is teaching. He's like, listen, I met rich people from all over they come to me. Okay. He said, and I've noticed a common denominator among the ones that's successful. These people got a game plan. All right. And they do things proactively. All right. Because they already said, this is what I'm about to do. I'm going to control everything I can today so that when the things come at me that are out of control, they won't devastate me. Why? Because I'm so far ahead of the game. Now, you listen to what I'm saying? So take an example. Solomon, he had all these rich people that came to him. He had the Queen of Sheba, for example. She came all the way from the other side of the world just to ask him a whole lot of hard questions and see if she wanted him to become her coach. So she come down to Solomon and see if I want him to be my counselor, if I want him to be my consultant. She said, I need a business consultant because I run a whole entire country. And we need some infrastructure in this country. We need to run this country way more efficiently than I'm currently running it. I'm not satisfied, even though I'm rich, even though I'm successful, even though I've got a lot of influence and all of that. I know I can do way better than I'm doing. I heard about Solomon. I heard about how wise this man is. Let me go check him out. So when she got to Jerusalem to see Solomon, she's like, okay, she started hitting him with questions. Boom, throwing him all kind of pitches, all kind of curves and everything. Solomon answered all of her questions. Why? Because he was prepared in advance to answer all of her questions. Well, let's put it this way. He was cheating because God was answering all the questions on his behalf because he had so much favor with God. But he had got this favor with God because he asked God for an understanding heart. So it sounded to me like that's a really good prayer. I would never pray to God for no money. I would just say, hey, Lord, give me some sense so when people show up, I'll be able to answer their questions. And if I can answer their questions, and I can answer their questions accurately, then I never have to worry about money because they beg me to take it. All right. If I can make them way more than what they were making before they met me, or whatever your utility is. It might not be about money, it might be about this or that, but be real good. So when people come to you, that they get to stalking you like she did. So when she got there, she said, brother, I heard about you. She said, but the half hadn't been told. So she said, let me write you a check. So she pulled her checkbook out in gold. All right. She said she gave Solomon $256 million in gold. Why? Because she came to the meeting already proactively thinking, if he can answer my questions, I'm going to be ready to pay him and give him a gift. If he can answer my questions. Why? Because if he can show me how to go back home and run my country the way he runs his country, I'll become a trillionaire like him. So this little change I'm going to give him, this $256 million, that ain't no big deal. Why? Because he's worth every penny. In other words, she was like, I'm worth every penny that I'm about to give this man. So when you pay people, you don't pay people what they're worth. You pay people what you're worth. So she was like, I'm worth way more than $256 million. I deserve way more than that. I'm going to work and put myself in a position. My goals and my task that I'm going to do is going to produce a lot more than that. So I'm going to thank him for teaching me how to get my house in order, because that's what Solomon taught her. He taught her how to run a country. All right. So she was like, so here's your tip. And then she gave more than that in spices. The gold wasn't nothing but a tip. The spices was more than they say that anybody had brought from any place else in the world. These are Solomon's friends. So when Solomon tell you that time and chance happen to everybody, then he's talking about, I've seen it all. I've seen people of all kind of statures, people, super rich people, all right, super wealthy folk. He said, but when they come in, they got the same problems everybody else got. He said, that's why the Queen of Sheba came to talk to him, because she had problems. She had issues. Just because a person is a person of authority in the front and all of that, that means that they just got more issues than the person who's in the back. Why? Because everybody, time and chance happen to everybody. She had a lot of fires going on in her country that she needed to put out. And Solomon helped her to do it. And she was amazingly relieved. So she thought the way that successful people think. She said, hey, be proactive. If this man can answer my questions, let me bring the gold with me. I'm not going to go back home and get it. Are you hearing me? This is one thing about goal setting. One thing this year that should be that would make sense for all of us to have as a goal is, how much am I going to spend on myself this year to become literate, financially literate? How much am I going to spend on myself this year? How much am I going to spend on myself this year to become healthy? All right. How much am I going to spend on myself this year to get some emotional stability? How much am I going to spend on myself this year to be able to put myself in a position to teach people things that help them to become generationally okay? So what do I need to learn? I don't know. All right. And how much am I going to spend on myself? Because I want to be worth more than I am. So I want to spend on myself. So where am I going to go with my checkbook already out? See, that's the way you go to a presentation. You don't go to presentations all, on the edge of your seat, saying to yourself, man, whatever I'm going to do, whatever happens, I don't care what they say, I'm not going to spend any money here. See, that's not, because, see, the problem with that is that that's not part of the achieving of your purpose. So to achieve your purpose, one of your goals has to be, how much money am I going to spend on me this year? Because I pay people what I'm worth, so they can give me what I deserve. You hear what I'm saying? So you got to learn that. You got to write that down, because you don't really hear people teaching you like this. People say, man, pay me what I'm worth. I'm like, no, I'm going to pay you what I'm worth. You say, why you say that, Ricky? Everybody works with me, works part-time, and I overpay all of them. You say, why? Because I'm worth them being able to do the kind of work that'll make us all a whole lot of money. That's what I feel. I want to make sure I pay people what I'm worth. And so when I get on an airplane, I get on first class. Why? Because I'm worth it. All right, I'm worth first class. Why? Because the people you meet on first class, you meet some outstanding people. And you say, well, Ricky, that sounds like bragging and all that sort of thing. No, if you become goal-oriented and task-oriented and purpose-driven, then you'll realize that what? You need to be sitting in first class, because it'll help you to be able to help the people you're trying to help. Because when you sit in first class, you meet all kind of people. The last person I met in first class are feeding thousands of people here in Indianapolis with one of their programs. I say, well, sign me up so I can help be able to feed some people too. Why? And I would have never met them if I hadn't been in first class. We were sitting in the first seats of first class. And we sat down and talked, and come to find out the guy was a billionaire, and we became friends. And we're friends now. Okay, so we're going to be able to do some things to help some people. Why? Because I was sitting in a place where somebody of means was sitting, and then we able to share ideas with one another, because I paid what I was worth. so I can do what? So I can go out and be able to help somebody. So that's the way to look at paying for things. But if that's not a goal, then you won't get that achieved. Are you hearing what I'm saying? If it's not a goal, see, most people's goal is to try to figure out how can I get the most information from people and pay the least amount of money. That's a person might not have that written on a piece of paper, but when you look at how much money the average person spends on their personal education, on their personal self-improvement during the course of a year, then you'll notice the correlation between why they have such a small amount of money. I'm like, well, you haven't spent much money on yourself. I guess you don't feel like you deserve much. You hear what I'm saying? The Queen of Sheba, she felt like, man, I deserve to know this information. So I'm going to bring a check with me just in case he's able to increase my value. All right. Because I want to be worth more. So I'm going to pay you what I'm worth so you can give me what I deserve. You hear what I'm saying? So that's part of goal setting. And Solomon said, I met all these people who have an amazing attitude about life, like the Queen of Sheba, for example. Okay. I met people who really, really have high self net worths and extremely successful people, not just money net worths, but these people are brilliant people. These people are the cream of the crop, the elite of the elite. That's the people that come. That's the people that came to Solomon. You know, he said, but even though I met all these people, he said, this is one thing I've still seen. He said, man, time and chance happen to everybody. Everybody is distracted. Everybody got to deal with distractions. So that happens to all of us. So be encouraged for 2024 as you go forward. Every time you see a distraction, say, thank you, Jesus. You know, you'd be like, wow, thank you, Jesus. Why? Because the Bible said in everything, give thanks. And then what? Stay in motion. Why? Because if you stay in motion, you won't be emotional. The reason that people are emotional is because they're in a state of inertia. And if I come at you with a distraction and you already sitting still, then you can't take it. If a distraction comes at you and you're not in motion, you can't fight the distraction off. Why? Because you don't have anything to fight with. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight. But if you're already in motion, then the distractions are easy to take care of, no matter how big they are. Why? Because when our attitude is right, the facts don't even matter. You hear what I'm saying? It's two brothers that went over to Africa to sell to sell shoes. The first brother was mad. He came back in a week saying, anybody got no shoes over there? Yeah, I can't make no sales. Okay. Then the second brother, he was over there for a month, made 1 million sales. They say, what happened, brother? He said, man, anybody who got no shoes. When your attitude is right, the facts don't even matter. The facts don't even matter. The first brother, listen to me good, was distracted by his blessing. Are you hearing me? When you're not goal and task and purpose driven, and task oriented, and then a goal setter, the problem with that is that you get distracted sometimes by what you ought to be actually engaged in. You hear what I'm saying? Because you don't know the difference. You can't decipher the difference. Why? Because when distractions come, they mess with the mind of a person that's in a state of inertia. It's mental war, and the person that's in a state of inertia cannot win because they don't have a game plan. So that's why the Bible said, don't be tossed to and fro by every wind of doctrine. Because when something comes up, okay, I'm going that way. Okay, then something else comes up. You say, okay, well, I'm going that way. And then something comes up and you say, well, I'm going to go that way. And then something comes up, you say, well, I'm going to go both ways at the same time. Well, okay, that means that a person doesn't have a game plan. So anything Bible says, if you don't know, not the Bible, but people say, if you don't know where you're going, any old road will take you there. That's a very true statement. So Solomon knows all of these rich people, and he says, and all these successful people, he says, distractions happen to all of us. But if a person is goal driven, you'll be able to handle that because the race is not given to the guy with all the talent. It's given to the person that stays in the race. It's given to the person that maintains. And then look at this last part of what Solomon said. And I'll give you 2 examples. He says, this wisdom have I seen also under the sun. Under the sun, excuse me. He said, it seemed great unto me. He said, there was a little city and a few men within it. And there came a great king against it and besieged it and built great bulwarks against it. He said, now there was found in it a poor wise man, and he by his wisdom delivered the city. He said, yet no man remembered that same poor man. So Solomon said there was a fight in the city. He said they came and besieged the city. He said, but it was a wise elderly brother there. And he said the wise man showed him how to get out of that situation and save the whole city. And then what happened? He said, anybody even thank him? They all went down the street and went head on about his business. Solomon said, he said, isn't that amazing? He said, I've noticed some things that I've observed up under the sun. But let's check it out. Did the man save the city, though? Oh, yes, he did. How did he save the city, and why did he save the city? All right. First of all, the why he saved the city is because he had a purpose. His purpose was what? He was a purpose to help deliver people from murder and gore and death. That was his purpose. All right. So what was his goal? His goal was to save the city. You hear what I'm saying? See, when you got a purpose, then you put your goal down that matches your was what? To make sure that people are getting murdered and annihilated, and to make sure that people got a chance to live their days out. That was his purpose. All right. He's a what? He's a person that goes around helping preserve life. His purpose was to preserve life. All right. So since that was his purpose, he said, let me get a goal that lines up with that. So let me put a game plan together that's going to help save the city. Because if I save the city, I'm going to save the lives of the people. Are y'all getting what I'm saying? You see how the goal and the purpose are, how they feed each other. All right. He says, so no matter, and I'm doing this because of my purpose. I'm not doing it to be seen. I'm not doing it for no recognition. If somebody recognizes it, wonderful. Of course, he would have appreciated that, but did it stop him from doing what he was doing? See, some of us, we're trying to make it through 2024. And the reason that we keep stopping and starting and stopping and starting, or even letting the stop us and don't start at all, is because of the distractions that we have and because we don't get the recognition that we feel like we deserve. But that's not a good motivation. That means that you have to change your purpose or the reason why you're doing something. Because if you got to be recognized for what you're doing, then you won't continue. Now, you hear what I'm saying? I can use myself as an example. I've been teaching people live almost, 5 or 6 years, almost daily. Okay. And so, but I don't have a real large group of people that listen to me. Never had, it's going to be a few hundred people listen to a video, sometimes a couple thousand people or something. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm not, of course, it would be great if it was more views and got more clients, and all of that would be good. And maybe one day, perhaps it will be. But it doesn't stop me from doing anything. Why? Because that's not the purpose. If that was my purpose, then I would quit. That's why when you all start doing something and then you don't see immediate results, that's why you can't get the goal accomplished if your purpose ain't strong enough. You hear what I'm saying? So you're just throwing a towel because you're like, man, I've been on here talking for a whole month and ain't number 2 people listening to me. Okay, but why are you talking? You're like, well, I'm talking because I want to make sure that people get delivered in this area that I'm talking about. I'm like, okay, so what if those 2 people got delivered? You're like, okay, good morning, Shay. I say, so what happened if those 2 people got delivered? Mission accomplished, right? Your goal was accomplished. You're like, yeah, but I wish, I wanted 2,500 people to come listen to me. Well, the chances of 2,500 people coming to listen to you at the beginning of you talking about something is for never. Ain't no 2,500 people gonna just pop up on the phone and start listening to you, and they ain't never seen you and don't know what you're talking about and all that sort of thing. That takes work and time for you to build up an audience of people to pay attention to you. However, you shouldn't be doing it for the sake of an audience listening to you anyway. You should be doing it for your purpose, whatever your purpose is, because that's going to be a distraction. And when you look up and you see 2 people and they talk and they looking at you and that's all you see, you're going to quit. Why? So you go through 2024, you started your goals in January, but you ran out in January. By February, you threw in a towel. Now you hear what I'm saying? You're like, what? I'm through gambling. I ain't gonna mess around no more. These people don't want to hear what I'm talking about. That's the wrong motivation. See, this man saved the city. Solomon said this little old man saved the whole city. And did nobody even remember him? You remember Joseph? How Joseph helped 2 brothers. How he at least gave him 2 guys a prognosis of their problem. So he had a butler and he had a baker, and they came to prison where Joseph was. And they said, man, we having nightmares and I don't know what they're about. Joseph said, come on over, I'll tell you what your dream means. So he told the butler, he said, you're going back and you're going to be right back serving the king again. You're going to be pouring his stuff into his glass. He told the baker, sorry, partner, you threw gambling. You're going to get your head chopped off by tomorrow. Sorry, but I got to tell you how it is. All right. So those 2 things happened. So he told the butler, he said, man, when you get back, tell Pharaoh about me. He said, come down here and tell him, bond me out, man. So let him know I'm a hardworking man. I'm down here on false charges. Come help a brother out. So 2 years went by. He forgot all about Joseph. See, that happens a lot. So if you're doing things for people to finally he remembered Joseph, and Joseph ended up being the prince of Egypt. But my point is this: Joseph didn't stop working during those 2 years. He went no place with his head in the sand. How do we know? Because when Pharaoh called him in and asked him to interpret his dream, Joseph was able to do it because Joseph kept working, even though time and chance had happened to him. Time and chance had happened to him. Time and chance had happened. He got sold by his brothers for 30 pieces of silver. And the Ishmaelites came and got him. He ends up in Potiphar's house. His wife ends up falsely accusing him. He ends up in a joint. He just going, time and chance is happening to him on a regular basis. But he ain't what? He's not going to give up because he's not doing things for the sake of being seen. He's doing it because it's his purpose. So if a person was in trouble and they needed to have, because what is Joseph? Joseph is a visionary. That's what Joseph is. What is Joseph? Joseph is a consultant. What is Joseph? Joseph is a person who is an economist. All right, he's able to see the economy before it happens. So that's who he is, and he had that gift ever since he was a little boy because he told his brothers and his family about his dream when he was a youngster. He was an economist. He had a dream about the economy when he was a little boy. All right, and how everybody's going to be bowing down to him. And when Pharaoh started talking about his dream, he was an economist, so he told Pharaoh what it meant. But he would never been able to tell Pharaoh what it meant if he had still been mad about the fact that the guy left there and 2 years later hadn't said nothing about him. He would have been upset. He would have stopped working. He would have quit. He would have been what? Distracted. And that's what Solomon is teaching us. He's like, the reason people don't reach their goals is because of distractions. The reason that people are distracted is because they're not doing the task to do what? To increase their skill set to reach the goal. And they don't do nothing repetitively enough because they don't feel like they just do. And that's why people quit. But who's the person that's going to lose the most when you stop doing what you're doing and lose your momentum? You are. So why should you let somebody else stop you, or people or circumstances or anything stop you from your regular daily task of what you're gifted in doing? But you better and better and better and what more and more and more sought after and get your goals actually accomplished. Are you hearing what I'm saying? When I first started doing these webinars and stuff, me and my daughter Ebony was doing a private webinar, and I'm screaming and hollering and screaming and hollering and screaming and hollering and singing and everything. And Ebony just started cracking up laughing. I said, "What's so funny, baby?" When it was over with, she said, "You." I said, "Why you say that?" She said, "Because ain't nobody on here but me and you." She said, "And you know it." She said, "You looking at the screen? Who was you talking to when you was talking about, y'all don't hear me?" She said, "Of course they didn't hear you. Well, nobody on there but me and you." She is laughing, cracking up. I said, "But Ebony, what you don't understand is that I'm just practicing." Okay. And I'm having fun practicing. I say one day I'm gonna be real good. If I keep it up, I'll be real good at being able to tell ideas to people so they can go out and have a great life. One day I'll be real good at that. Okay, if I keep doing it. All right. And so I'm going to keep doing it. Why? Because it's my purpose. My purpose is to help a person get over the fear of other people and get some courage so they can go ahead on and do whatever it is they're supposed to do. That's my purpose. So I have to, what is yours? So whatever your purpose is, do it in the dark. What? Do it when ain't nobody even looking. What? Do it because it's what you were born to do. Okay. And then eventually, if it is your gift, if it is your purpose, people will be attracted to you. Why? Because the Bible says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. So how do you lift up God? By fulfilling your purpose. That's how you lift God up. Because God is like, I gave you all these gifts and all this talent. And if you're not using it, you're not lifting me up. He said, but if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me. So if you do what it is that you're supposed to be doing, that you're gifted to do, because the race is not given to the swift, or the battle to the strong. If you're talented and you're not using it, it doesn't mean anything, because time and chance, it happens to all of us. All right. I'll give you two more examples and then I got to get out of here. All right. We have David. David shows up at a battle, and Goliath is threatening everybody. He's been doing it for 40 days. All right. You can smell the stinky breath clear across the field, talking real crazy, saying, send me somebody out here to fight me. We'll be your slaves if y'all win. If I win, y'all be my slaves. He said, because I defy you and I defy your God. David walks up and said, what does Cat say? He said, man, I defy you and I defy your God. We the Philistines. I love fake gods, a real God. All right. And you're going to have to bow down and come and do what it is that we talking about. All right. So David like, oh, no, man. He said, is there not a cause? He said, what does the guy do who knock him off? They told him that he get the king's daughter's hand in marriage. and then he get a chance to be tax-free. So he's like, man, that sounds good. He said, but that's just a fringe benefit. He said, because my purpose really is to get rid of this dude who is defying the army of God and the people of God and defying God. He said, that's what I'm really ticked off about. He said, I take them fringe benefits. Don't get it twisted, all right? He said, I take that money and I take that, and I take the king's daughter's hand in marriage. He said, cool, I'll go along with that. He said, but the reason I really want to knock him off is because of my purpose. I don't like the way he talked. He got this talking crazy. He disrespecting our God. He got to go down. All right. So David, what he knocks him off because, and if he was really more concerned about being seen, and if he was really more concerned about the money that he was making, if he was really more concerned about the prestige that he got, because he got a lot of prestige immediately, he would have never made it. Why? Because his life turned into pure hell after he kills the giant. I mean, he was living a pretty uneventful life before he killed the giant. After he killed the giant, he caught what? Pure hell. What? For helping somebody. So if you're a person right now and you're helping people and you're like, what the heck is going on around here? It seems like the more I help people, the crazier folk I. All right. If that's you, join the rest of the human race, because time and chance, it happens to everybody. Okay. And read the Bible and get some the spirit of knowledge and get the spirit of courage so that you won't stop doing what you're doing. Because what? It happens to everybody. You're not the first person. Okay. And it's going to continue to happen. All right. You're going to continue to have to deal with people, even though you're kind and nice, and even though you help folk, you have to continue to deal with people who oppose what it is that you're doing and trying to bring about your demise. Okay. So he helped save Saul's life, and Saul spent the rest of his life trying to kill him. Are you hearing what I'm telling you? So don't you act surprised about what? The distractions in your life. Have some goals. Okay. So David made a goal once he found out, what you get. He said, what do you get again? They said you get to be tax-free and you get the king's daughter's hand in marriage. He's like, so he registered that. He said, okay, so that's my goal. I want to be tax-free and I want to get the king's daughter's hand in marriage. He said, that's my goal. He says, so now I need to complete a task. So what's the task? I need to kill this giant, because that's going to help me accomplish my goal, which is going to do what? Help my purpose to be fulfilled. Because my purpose is to make sure that all these people out here know that God is the God of Israel, not their fake gods. All right. And for God's people to get some courage and to stop sitting around here being scared of these little punks. All right. So that's David's purpose. He got a really big, thick, gigantic purpose. So his task is go kill a giant. So what? His goal is to become tax-free and be able to get the king's daughter's hand in marriage and bring his family up out of poverty, because he lived with a poor family. So if he get to be right up under the king, everybody in his family can fall. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So that's one example. Then we have another example of Joshua and Caleb. They sent 12 spies over to Egypt. And when they get over there, they come back and they tell the spies, say, listen, it is what God said it is. All right. It is a land flowing with milk and honey. We brought these grapes back. They juicy as heck. He said, but it's giants in the land. And they too big for us. And we good as dead if we go over there, because we look like grasshoppers. But not Joshua and Caleb. See, they had a purpose. And their purpose was what? To help their people get over the fear of people, just like my purpose is. That was their purpose. They was like, no. We are purpose driven here. And our purpose is to what? They had several purposes. One was to help people get over the fear of people. One was to prove that God is true and that they fake gods was not. So they had this purpose driven life. So they had a task to do. What's the task? Let's go over here and kick their butt and take this land. That's the task. What? So what's the goal? The goal is posterity. So we can move over here and take over this land and maintain it forever. All right. That's what their goal was. The goal was what? To be able to get over here and get some posterity achieved. Why? Because they wanted to make sure that they can show everybody that God is God. All right. That's their purpose, that God is God. Their task, go over here and take this land. And their goal is what? To live in a land flowing with milk and honey. That's what? Posterity. So that's what their goal was. Posterity is one of my goals. So what? I make sure that one of the things that I do, I make sure that my purpose is that I can get my purpose accomplished by accomplishing the goal of posterity and doing a task that create the posterity. All right. Hopefully that helped you all, so that as you go out in 2024, you'll be able to have a serious game plan on what you're going to do. Let's review what we said. Okay. Number one, the protocol is that the mother is purpose, the child are task, the grandchild are goals. Okay. So it's your purpose. Your purpose gives you some tasks to do based on the goal that you created. You cannot go straight from purpose to goals because you got to do the task. It's way too many people with goals written down and no game plan to get them done. I'm like, well, they're not going to happen. All right. They're not going to just jump apart. That's just a wish. That ain't no goal. All right. Put it on paper and write down what you got to do every day to get it done. All right. So that's a protocol. When you do that, you're absolutely positively going to run into distraction after distraction after distraction. No doubt about it. The only way you're going to be able to fight distractions is with repetition. The repetition of the task, doing the thing over and over and over again, so that when you get distracted mentally, now you're up under pressure because of distraction. Somebody coming at you. People hate your guts. People suing you. This happening, that happened. Folks burning bread on you. Whatever, trying to set you up. This, that, and other. Because you're doing some great things. So when that happens, what you do? You keep doing what you was doing. That's how you fight it off. Because you was already doing something. And if you wasn't doing nothing, then now you're going to be in big trouble because that means you're in a state of inertia. All right. So come out of inertia, come into momentum, get task oriented, keep doing things on a regular basis, write down what you said you was going to do and actually start doing it, develop some self-esteem. And then when distractions come, they won't stand a chance against you because you're fighting with a cannon and distractions ain't nothing but a toothpick. All right. It's been a plum pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. I love you all. Ain't nothing you can do about that. Be blessed in the city, be blessed in the field. Have a phenomenal day. And remember that stellar is as stellar does. God bless you. All right. Go out and get those goals accomplished for 2024. I speak amazing prosperity and profitability into your life. God bless you. Have a wonderful day. Have an awesome day. Take care.